Yeah, I'm wearing this mask inside because a lot of people are allergic to this mealworm dust. I got a lot of dust coming. I've got this colony living on oats, and as they eat the oats, they powderize them, and so the easiest way to get them out of this one container is to do this. And when I do that, it generates a little bit of powder. I don't want to take chances of inhaling too much of it, so this mask comes in handy, not only for the virus, but also for times like this. So I was debating on whether I should just take all of the worms out, or should I just take out all the big ones, you know, the ones this size, you know. I mean, I've got a variety of sizes. Most of them are pretty big, you know, some of them are smaller. But, you know, this is all from the colony that I've been raising. So all of these were raised here. So, you know, you save a little bit of money by breeding your own. I mean, you might as well, because it's not difficult, and they all turn into beetles if you give them a chance. There's a little teeny one right there, see? You know, there's one. There's a judgment call here on this one. This is so small I can't even pick it up. Oh wow. Look at that. Can you see that? It's so small it's hard to even... Yeah, I'm gonna put that in here. And I'm gonna transfer all of these. Everything that I can catch out of here, I'm gonna transfer it all over. I don't do this very often. You know, this is the grow out case, where I put all the little tiny ones after I remove the beetles, which is in a case over there, which is I'm going to do later also. I'm going to remove all the beetles, and then I'm going to take the oats that the beetles have been living on, and because they've deposited all of the eggs inside the oats, and the eggs are starting to hatch, and then I saw a couple of large ones like this size already. So I think, oh, it's time for me to take all the beetles out and move them to a fresh thing of oats, a fresh tub of oats, and let them start laying all over again. And it's a constant cycle. So this is the tub that I dump all of the oats after I've removed the beetles, and I just let them grow out. And the one I have on the top over there is the ones that I use to feed all my reptiles. I'm moving away from crickets because they make too much noise when they're in the room, and they also die too quickly. You got to stay on top of them with water, and it's just a pain in the butt. And my geckos seem to like these mealworms, the super mealworms, better. So I thought it would be a better idea to just, if I'm going to put in any effort, yeah, it's a small one. If I'm going to put in any effort, I might as well put the effort into what my reptiles like to eat. And the crickets, you know, they run, they hide, they end up reproducing in the case, and then, you know, you get these tiny pinhead crickets, and they're so small that the reptile can't even see them. And so it takes, you know, they're too small to catch, they're too small to eat. And it takes them so long to get big enough to be seen that by the time that happens, usually I've cleaned the case out and thrown them away without even knowing they're there, because, you know, that's not something that I'm doing on purpose. But with these, I'm doing it on purpose, and I know they're going to be here, and I've got a little way to, when I get all of these out, I'm going to sift this with a strainer, and then I'll collect all of the larger oats to reuse, and I'll dump them so that I'm not wasting any, throwing out any small ones by mistake. I'm going to go over pretty carefully like I'm doing now. And then I will put them in another case, the other level, where I'll let these continue to, actually these will end up going to the top the top bin, which is my feed out bin, which I was thinking of doing. But I've also been putting these little tiny ones in there, so that's also, doesn't really matter, because by the time I get to the little tiny ones, they'll be big. And if I have any gecko eggs that actually hatch this time, I'll have need for the smaller worms, which I don't really have need for right now, because all my geckos are large enough to eat adult mealworms. See, I'm not seeing a bunch. I'm not seeing a bunch come up to the top here now. Yeah, see? And then you take a look. You let everything settle, and you wait for some motion. If you see any motion, then you know somebody's under there. See all this dust that I'd be inhaling right now? I'm breathing deeply now, not even worrying about it because I got this mask on, see? Yeah, that looks like I've pretty much got most of them. Let me see if I can you see that? That's a few hundred in there. So I'll take these and I'll use a couple. I'll use a few. Let me see. Just want to get the dust, the little small stuff that I don't want to reuse out of here. I'm not really worrying about any eggs or nothing because, like I said, the beetles lay eggs, not the worms. So there shouldn't be anything in here except the tiniest of tiny worms, but there won't be any tiny worms in here because this is the grow out case and they've been in here for a while. So there shouldn't be anything in there that small. Anything in here should be visible. And if it's so small to pass through the strainer, then it should be able to be thrown out. And my dog is down here messing with me. No, don't you do that. Don't you do that, don't you? You knock stuff over and then I'll have to run down there and catch all them worms. I'll start running around. But she didn't do that. Just lay down and sit down. Be good. Okay. Yeah, you want to stop that? You want to stop that? Okay. Would you mind stopping that, please? I'll just stick this back in the corner here. And then I'll go for another scoop. Yeah, I'm not worrying about getting it all 100%, just most of it. So I'll do this until it's all cleaned out. And it'll probably, it'll probably take 20-30 minutes. Won't bore you with that. So here are all the beetles. These beetles I pupated these. They all turned into beetles and now they all been laying eggs in this container. And there's lots of little worms wiggling around on the bottom that you can't see right now, but when I remove these, I will take this substrate that's in here and I'll just transfer that to the middle rack over there, which is my grow out rack. The top rack is the rack of worms that I use to feed out. The grow out rack is in the middle and the beetles go on the bottom. So I'm going to put these beetles, I'll just put these beetles in this container with oats that have been cleaned out. And if I have to add some more oats, I've got packs of oats in the other room, and I'll just fill this to where I want it after I transfer all the beetles over to here. So what I'll do is make it easy on myself. I'll put this here like that, and I'll put this here like that, and I'll just transfer the beetles to this case right here. One at a time. See? Oops. See? That's a big one. Just put him in there. These beetles, they have a lifespan that they usually, I don't worry much. You know, you go in here and I'll find some that have passed away. And of course, those are the ones I throw out. And the ones that are still reproducing, I just transfer them all over to this next case. And then the whole process starts over again. And it's just a repeat, rinse and repeat. Pretty simple. And doing it this way, I found that I no longer have to buy any mealworms. Unless I just really want to have a feeding frenzy one day and I just don't have enough. But right now, I don't have to worry about that. Look at that. That's a really teeny small one. But there are little ones like that in here. And I'm going to let them grow until they get at least big enough to be fed out. And then I'll move those to the top rank over there. And then that'll be my feed out worms. It's a simple process. Yeah, and this works out really well because what I'm doing is I don't really worry about feeding these guys much. I mean, what I do is I give them banana peels that I use anyway for my own diet. Every day I eat bananas every day, and I've got some other pets that eat bananas, and I use these peels. And I leave these peels in here because they lay eggs on the peels. So if you throw out these dried peels after they start getting old like this, potentially you're throwing out some eggs that will hatch. And if you want to optimize the amount of brood that you get, you would want to probably leave these in here. But for me right now, I'm starting over fresh here with a new group, so I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to throw out these old banana skins, and I'm going to add new ones and just start over because I've got enough right now and I don't have to worry about that. This is a nice one. All different sizes. I've got a couple of that are pupine in the box over here. You got to put them in a dark box with no food and no water. You put the worms in the box with no food, no water, and then after a few days they go into this C shape. And once they get that C shape, you know they're about to turn into a pupa. And then once they turn, it takes how long does it take? It takes a couple of weeks. I don't pay much attention. I just put them in there. There's a small one. I put them in there, and then when they're done, I check the box every day, you know, because they're all on a different schedule. And I check that box in the mornings when I give the crickets water. I still do have some crickets because I got some customers that insist on using crickets, so I started selling crickets to them, and you know I try to keep a few for them because I know they expect me to have some. But for me personally, I would prefer to just use the worms, and I would phase out those crickets completely. You might hear them chirping in the background every now and then, but right now they're being quiet because it's nighttime. Yeah, there they are. They are chirping. Hear that? And that's like, if the lights are on, that's constant. So here you go. You can see after I removed all the beetles, you see the oats moving a little bit. See how it moves? You See, you can see, if you look, you can see it moving. There's just hundreds and hundreds of baby worms up under here. See? There's hundreds of baby worms up under here. And so what I'll do is I'll just give them some banana skins and some extra vegetables that I use when I feed my Uromastyx. The end cuts, you know, I put those in there. And these guys will get to be the size of those big worms that I moved to my feeding tank, the feeding box, right? And then the cycle's done. So here's the top drawer where I just moved all those worms from the grow out case, and now they're in here, and this is the ones I'll use to feed the reptiles all the time. I'll just reach right in there and grab those. These I will not bother much. I'll let them grow. These here, I'll let those grow. And I'll put some egg cartons on top to give them a little cover. And here on the bottom is where I will put those beetles that are in there. They'll go down here, and that's where they will continue to lay more eggs, and the process will start all over again. Oh yeah, that's just one of the gecko cases. Just one of them. I've got a few all over the place.